So, you bought a striped cake comb to make striped frosting. What else can you use that comb for? In this tutorial, I'll show you 5 other ways. Striped cake comb use number 1. You don't have to cover your cake in stripes. Try adding them just around the bottom of the cake as a border or accent, which you can do by using the striped cake comb as normal at first, imprinting grooves all over the cake, and after chilling the cake in the freezer for 15 minutes, pipe coloured buttercream into some of the grooves, and use the original colour to fill in the rest of the grooves. After you scrape around the cake a few times, the bottom stripes will be colourful, but on the rest of the cake, the piped frosting will blend into the stripe grooves, so that the stripes will disappear and create a plain, flat, smooth background colour instead. As with any striped cake, the stripes will get neater and neater as you scrape. Number 2. Instead of filling in the striped grooves with another colour of buttercream, leave them empty for a unique textured cake. Or fill them in with interesting piping. This is one of the first cakes I made for my cake school back in 2019, but I still love the design. This is a petal piping tip, and if you hold it with the narrow end of the piping tip pointing outwards, the outer edge of the piping will be thin and delicate, and the wider side of the piping will be against the cake, and that thicker side will help the ruffles attach to the cake. Pause for a moment when you get up to the top, and again when you get down to the bottom. And that pause will let the buttercream fold gently over itself to make these smooth curves at the top and bottom of the ruffles. This is a number 102 piping tip, which is the smallest one I have, and even for a larger cake I would choose the same small piping tip, because with the larger petal tips, like a number 104 or 125, the ruffles would stick out a lot further from the cake, beyond the frosting, which doesn't look as neat, and they'd be more likely to droop when the cake sits out at room temperature for a while. You could fill striped grooves with sprinkles or piped flowers. There are lots of possibilities to get creative with this design. Number 3. You can use your striped cake comb to make multicolored stripes by pushing the comb into a crumb-coated cake to show you where each stripe will eventually be, and then pipe a different colour in between each line scored on the cake. Then use your striped cake comb and you'll create multicolored stripes with a gap in between each one. Scrape with your striped cake comb until these stripes are smooth and then put the cake into the freezer for 15 minutes to set them. Next, pipe colours into the gaps, and then scrape, scrape, scrape with a straight-edged cake comb until all of the stripes are smooth and flat and they look printed onto the cake, not piped with buttercream. Number 4. To make your stripes go vertically up a cake instead of around it, cover a piece of acetate with buttercream and use your striped cake comb on that, instead of directly onto a cake. Freeze for 15 minutes and then add your next colour, spreading to fill in the grooves and then scrape off the excess to leave a flat layer of buttercream on the acetate. Then wrap the acetate around a cake, chill it, peel it off, and do touch-ups. I teach how to do this in my Layer Up program, along with several other ways to use acetate and parchment paper for cake decorating. The Layer Up program takes you through 3 layers to learn cake decorating techniques, but also skills like stacking tier cakes and transporting cakes and frosting square cakes, and skills to start or grow a cake business, like taking custom cake orders and using social media for your cakes, and scheduling cakes. And you can sign up on BritishGirlBakes.com. Okay, back to stripes. Number 5. To create a diagonal division between plain and striped frosting, use your striped cake comb as normal around the whole cake and then score a diagonal line by pressing a straight-edged cake comb or a ruler, or anything straight, gently against the frosting. Chill the cake in the freezer for 15 minutes and then fill in one side of the cake with the same colour to make those parts of the stripes disappear eventually. Chill again to set this half of the cake, and then use another colour on the other side of the cake. Scrape until the frosting is smooth, tidy up the top edge of the cake to make nice sharp angles, and then add pretty piping to cover up the edges of the stripes. I hope you've seen a technique you'd like to try. Ask me any questions in the comments, and visit my cake school on BritishGirlBakes.com to learn hundreds of cake decorating techniques, with online courses and memberships to take your cake decorating to the next level. Thanks for watching.